Hi, it's Brian here. And this is actually part one of a kind of quickish part two series. This one's going to be a little longer than the first one. I'm going to get straight into it. So, I believe I've actually found MAGA's kryptonite when it comes to talking about Black history. Because we know they have all the bullet points given to them by their commander in chief, Fox News, all the far right kind of podcasts and, well, quote unquote, news outlets. When it comes to slavery, we've heard them all. I've been fighting them. I'm not fighting them about slavery anymore. Because, like I said, I have actually found macrocryptonite. It's called Free Blacks of the United States. Hang in there with me. So, when I'm talking about free blacks of the United States, I'm going to spend some time talking about those Angolans, those nearly 40 Angolans who arrived in Point Comfort, Virginia in 1619. Many of these are my ancestors, so before anyone wants to hit me with ridiculousness or pushback or their opinions, know that I've been researching these people for decades, along with many other Black researchers who descend from these people. People like Rick Murphy, who's written books about them, and also has an award-winning documentary. So who are these people? Well, I'm going to start with Joao Gawin, otherwise known as John Gowen or John Goins, all the same person, as well as Emmanuel Kumbo, who's also known as Emmanuel Cambo. These two gentlemen were some of the largest, most prosperous landholders and farmers in the Virginia colony. These individuals that I'm going to be talking about came from the Kingdom of Ndongo. They were Catholics. Many of them were already fluent in Portuguese. But Joao and Emmanuel, what did they do? They learned English fluently. They didn't just learn English, they learned the English legal system. They were so talented at what they did, they became de facto magistrates. And by that I mean they helped by themselves, their compatriots, their children, their compatriots' children, even their grandchildren, buy themselves out of their bonded servitude. They weren't slaves. They were never slaves. But they were what I guess historians have agreed on. They were bonded servants. And to get out of that bond, they had to pay the bondholder money. And that's what these two men did, and they were very good. Most of the 1619 Angolans, if not all of them, eventually did buy themselves out of their bonds. When they died, when Joao and Emmanuel died, the Virginia burgesses, these are like the top 1% of the Virginia society, they passed a law forbidding Black people from ever acting in a legal capacity. That's right, they forbade that in law. Black people could not act in a professional, legal manner. I'm going to give you Antonio and Maria Johnson, plus Philip Mogram and Emmanuel Driggers and Francisco Payne. These people raised some of the most sought after livestock and horses in the entire Virginia colony. Do those sound like a bunch of dumb brutes? Ignorant, cave dwelling or hut dwelling, I guess, as the stereotype would be. Do these sound stupid? Because they don't. That doesn't sound stupid to me. You learned a foreign legal system, and you helped your compatriots navigate that system. I'm going to say this about the Jamestown colony. 1619, this was the third rodeo for Jamestown. The previous two iterations of Jamestown failed. Death, disease, destruction, whatever. It failed. These 1619 Angolans saved the Virginia colony because guess what? The English did not send their brightest and they didn't send their best. What did they send? They sent a bunch of rich white dudes with no practical skills, no practical life skills. They didn't even have good people management skills. There was so much skullduggery, greed, backstabbing, nastiness just amongst themselves. And I know this because I've read their reports that they sent back to the Houses of Parliament back in London. It is there in writing. You can't take that back. These were not good people, and I'm actually ashamed that I'm actually descended because of slavery from quite a number of them. These are not people to emulate. So again, Angolans, not brutes, not savages, not ignorant, not animals. These were exceedingly clever, successful people, which proves a point that I made at an earlier TikTok. Black people have always found a way to make something out of nothing and find a way out of no way. And it starts here. It starts in 1619 in British North America. So what did these people do? Because this is the real crux of my kryptonite for MAGA. We fought a revolution apparently because of taxation without representation. That's the myth that I was fed in school, in classrooms, in textbooks. So free people of color, free blacks, starting with this group, and the kids and the grandkids and the great grandkids. What did they do? They paid taxes. They kicked in money in their local community to build roads for their county, their community, and their colony. And they did this every year. But what couldn't they do? They couldn't vote. They couldn't run for office. And why? Because they were black. That's why. So it was all right to have to lead up to a whole revolution on this. And I'm speaking about people whose grandchildren, grandsons fought in the American Revolution. They fought for liberty. They fought for equality. They fought for freedom from England and Britain. They put their life on the lines just like their white compatriots, their European American compatriots. They couldn't vote until the passage of the 15th Amendment in 1870. My ancestors, my free people of color ancestors, who were here from 1619 to 1870, could not run for office, could not vote, not even the wealthiest of them. And a number of them were exceedingly wealthy and prosperous and successful. To put paid to that myth that black people are lazy layabouts who aren't capable of doing anything. These people put paid to that. I know enslaved people do. Y'all know that I have enslaved ancestors too. No matter what side you want to fall on, free or enslaved, our people did it. Day in, day out, without recognition and certainly without respect. So I say this to MAGA. My people fought in the American Revolution. They paid their taxes for schools that their kids couldn't even go to because they were black. They had to build their own schools and their own churches and their own community kind of buildings and centers. So square that. Taxation without representation. Square that circle, if you will. And on that note, I'm going to bid you a good evening.